every story appears ordinary until you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
A very good evening to you. Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Omotayo Alo. In our major stories tonight, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared the Bayelsa governorship election as inconclusive, with the commission cancelling votes from Southern Ijaw local government area. Also in this program, the federal government says Nigerians should expect a budget size of 6 trillion naira for the 2016 fiscal year. The ancient city of Ile-Ife stood agog as Ooni Adeyeye Ogunwusi Ojaja II received staff of office. And outside Nigeria, the Syrian government has said 3 of its soldiers have been killed in a U.S.-led coalition airstrike, but the coalition has denied responsibility. Thank you for joining us tonight. Now the news in full. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared the Bayelsa governorship election as inconclusive, with the commission cancelling votes from Southern Ijaw, the mainly riverine and biggest local government area in the state. The commission announced at the Coalition Center in Yenagoa, that state capital, that the governorship election in Southern Ijaw would be held at a later date. Result from 7 out of 8 LGAs of the state has so far been declared by INEC. From the results so far collated, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has polled 105,748 votes, while the All Progressives Congress garnered 72,594. The federal government says that Nigerians should expect a budget size of 6 trillion naira for the 2016 fiscal year. The Minister of National Planning and Budget, Senator Udo Udoma, disclosed this at the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa. State House correspondent Abiola Oluwole reports on the outcome of the first cabinet meeting of the Buhari administration.
The budget, according to the National Planning Minister, has 38% capital expenditure aimed at addressing the infrastructure deficit of the country. Udoma also says their budget will be based on $38 per barrel crude oil price and 2.2 million barrel production a day.
We consider that to be very conservative, but because of the uncertainties, we feel that we should start with a conservative crude oil price. We also are working with 2.2 million barrels a day production. We believe it is achievable, particularly because with the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill, which we are working to achieve, we believe that that is actually a modest figure, that we should be able to produce something higher than that.
It noted that a medium-term expenditure framework approved by the FEC will set the policy of government in the next 3 years.
Following from this, the MTEF will be submitted to the National Assembly. We expect a feedback from them. Thereafter, we'll be working to try and get the budget finalized. It is when the budget is finalized that you will rarely see the details of what we intend to do.
The minister was categorical in saying that federal government will not reduce the salary of civil servants, but declined to state whether the federal government will go ahead to remove fuel subsidy. From the presidential villa in Abuja, Abiola Oluwole, CoreTV News.
President Muhammad Buhari has again promised his total commitment to bringing an end to the major challenges confronting the nation. He made this known at a launch of a book on the evolution of the All Progressives Congress from opposition to the ruling party, written by the Minister for Science and Technology, Ogbonnaya Onu. Olajumoke Olatunji was there and files in this report. We bring you details of that report later. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, has described sexual and gender-based violence as one of the worst crimes against humanity. Speaking through a representative at a symposium on gender-based violence, the Speaker said the National Assembly has already forwarded laws against the crime to the Executive for assent and implementation. Correspondent Jamil Afagwa reports.
Violence against women and girls in recent times has reached an epidemic proportion in Nigeria. This is why many individuals and groups have been pushing the government to take necessary steps to check and curb the menace. At the National Symposium on Effective Implementation of Laws and Policies to End Sexual and Gender-Based Violence, speakers pushed for effective implementation of the laws already on ground.
Violence against women and girls has reached an epidemic proportion in Nigeria and must be urgently addressed to check the impunity with which this heinous crime against humanity is committed. Violence against persons results in cumulative breaches of women's rights, including right to life, privacy and family life, right to dignity, liberty, freedom from torture, inhuman or degrading treatment, as well as sexual and reproductive rights.
For many of these activists, it is time to begin to relate with stakeholders. Dr. Eleanor Onwadinebi of the British Council says the Council is working to ensure safe havens for the vulnerable.
MSRP, for short, the program that I represent, is already running safe spaces. We have physical safe spaces which are peace clubs for young people aged 10 to 24 in the states that I have mentioned. Just learning, boys and girls, how to stay safe, promote peace, and ensure that there's a reduction of violence against women and girls.
Speaker of the House of Representatives means no words in assuring Nigerians that all will be done to push the executive to implement the laws of the land. He was represented by the Deputy Minority Whip.
We're going to work on it, we're going to see that it comes to live. And lastly, we will work hand in hand with one called State Houses of Assembly in ensuring that good legislation is being put in place. That's the message from Mr. Speaker.
For years, the cry against violence against women folk has been on, and it looks like there's no way forward. But these advocates think otherwise.
Yeah, people are getting away with violence, gender-based violence, because the law that has just been promulgated this year on the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act is not being implemented the way it should. And so people get away with it.
The people who are supposed to implement the laws are asking, have you asked her how he dressed? Have you asked her why did she even come to my office? Have you asked her why she did this or that? Okay, so for me, that's the basic. If we feel that, oh, yes, the girls are there for us to have, if we feel that the women must go to bed for them to get something, and people are bringing these laws, then it won't go anywhere.
Without implementation, the law becomes useless. And it's things like this, pressurizing government, that means sensitization, holding conferences, workshops. That is when government will know that people are really talking and they will have to implement it immediately.
In Nigeria, common forms of violence include rape, wife battery, spouse beating, sexual harassment, women trafficking, as well as forced and child marriages. Jamil Afegwa, CoreTV News, Abuja.
President Muhammad Buhari has again promised his total commitment to bringing an end to the major challenges confronting the nation. He made this known at the launch of a book on the evolution of the All Progressives Congress from opposition to the ruling party, written by the Minister for Science and Technology, Ogbonaya Onu. Olajumoke Olatunji reports.
The launch of the book, titled From Opposition to Governing Party, Nigeria's APC merger story, saw political figures from the ruling party and the opposition in attendance. It also marked the first public appearance of President Muhammadu Buhari in recent weeks after a series of back-to-back official trips.
We realized since 2005, and this I was reminded by Chief Akande, that unless we come together, that the opposition in Nigeria, the PDP will succeed in killing Nigeria. So we have to make all the necessary sacrifice. And there are committees under the parties, ACN under Chief Akande, ANPP under Dr. Ogbonaya Onu, CPC under Tony Obomo. I wonder why he didn't mention how he got elected to become the chair of CPC. And a secretary of one of the parties has just mentioned somebody left the party. It looks like our better person. But why did I leave the party? When I joined the party as APP in April 2002, I think they have about 9 states, 8 or 9 states. They have, so they have governors, they have senators, they have members of the House of Representatives, but within IR they gave me the ticket. Who did I pick? I picked Chuba of Kadibo as running mate. And by the time of crowds we drew throughout the country, we developed overconfidence. We thought we were going to win. Apparently, in the end, after 30 months in court, the Supreme Court said we didn't win.
For his part, chairman of the occasion, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, chronicles the idea and the man behind the book.
A book that tries to chronicle and put on record the very difficult journey of a number of desperate but progressive and determined opposition political parties to come together in the interest of the country and our people to present a viable alternative to Nigerians in the last national elections. As we have been told here, it is a story of patriotism, of hope, of determination, of sacrifice, of humility, and above all, of change.
The author, Ogbonaya Onu, gives an insight into the book which, according to him, documents the events that gave life to the ruling party. He also used the platform to solicit for patience and support of Nigerians for the present administration.
This became the first time in our political history that a president elected on a platform of a governing political party was defeated in an election by the candidate of an opposition political party. There is no nation without problems. Governing a nation, particularly in a democracy, is essentially work in progress. It is important that all grievances from any part of the country are presented in a peaceful and orderly manner that respects the law of the land.
History was made on July 31st, 2013, when the then ACN, CPC and the ANPP came together to form what was then known as the largest opposition party in the country, the All Progressives Congress. The book by the chairman of one of the legacy parties is the first official account of APC's transition from the opposition to the ruling party. Olajumoke Olatunji, CoreTV News, Abuja.
FCT Minister Mohammed Bello is insisting that all staff of the FCT administration should wear their ID cards within the office premises for easy identification. He also maintained that the Department of State Service should enforce the directive. The minister said this while receiving briefs from the management team of the Abuja Geographic Information Systems in his office. A special assistant on media and Abubakar Sani quoted the minister as saying that the directive is meant to distinguish real staff from visitors on the premises. According to him, visitors should be admitted into the premises of the FCT administration based on appointments and be guided to the specific department they are visiting. He emphasized that this would go a long way in curbing the influx of people as well as assist in improving government business. The Court of Appeal sitting in Kaduna has dismissed the appeal filed by Aminu Sule Lamido, the 34-year-old son of former Jigawa State Governor Sule Lamido, against his conviction by a federal high court, Kano, of money laundering. Lamido was arrested on December 11, 2012 by EFCC operatives at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport on his way to Egypt for failure to declare $40,000 in the customs currency declaration form after initially declaring the statutory $10,000 to the Nigerian Customs Service. Aminu, a 2010 graduate of mass communication from the Bayero University, Kano, was subsequently arraigned on February 4, 2013 on one-count charge of false declaration of foreign currency. He was tried and consequently convicted on July 12, 2015 by a federal high court sitting in Kano and ordered to forfeit 25% of the undeclared sum. But dissatisfied with the judgment, Aminu filed an appeal at the Court of Appeal for the judgment of the lower court to be set aside. The appellate court, in its judgment delivered by Justice Abib Abiru, upheld the decision of the lower court and resolved all issues raised against the appellant. Justice Ibrahim Buba of the Federal High Court in Lagos is fixed December 14 for trial of former Nimasa boss Patrick Akpobolokemi and 5 others charged with 2.6 billion naira theft. Akpobolokemi is standing trial alongside Ezekiel Agbaba, Ekene Onwachuku, Amechi Juan, and 2 companies, Blocks and Stones Limited and Alcanzo Logistic Limited, on 22 counts bordering on conversion and theft. The accused were first arraigned before Justice Saliu Asadu on December 3 on 30 counts bordering on conversion and stealing. They were subsequently arraigned before Justice Ibrahim Buba on December 4 on first 22 counts, also bordering on conversion and theft. They all pleaded not guilty to the charges and were each granted bail in the sum of 50 million naira, with 2 shorties in like sum. We'll take a break now, and when we return, we'll bring you more stories. Stay with us.
Whenever you recharge your Airtel line, you could win a trip to Dubai for yourself and your family members or closest pals. Win one of 60 trips for 4 to Dubai in the Airtel Red Hot promo. Now that's a trip to Dubai for 240 people. You could also be one of 60 instant millionaires. Win smartphones and airtime. Everyone's a winner in the Airtel Red Hot promo with Emirates Holidays.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's a new dawn in Nigeria, and the mantra is change. The wind of change is blowing all over Nigeria and beckons to you. One sure way to respond is to perform your civic duty, pay your tax. With taxes, government generates revenue to fulfill its electoral promises, ensure regular power supply, provide good security, standard education, medical care, true total change. Individuals and corporations enjoy specific benefits, rights and privileges for paying taxes and avoid the consequences and penalties of not paying. Oil revenue is no longer sufficient to bring desired change, but your tax can. It pays to pay your tax. A message from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
The man on the streets have come to realize that the power to make decisions lies in the hands of the people.
I don't think the election.
5 local government out of the 13 local government is more than many states in the north.
The economy is booming. Where is the economy booming?
Bomb blast in Abuja.
Don't you have security?
Why are we fighting? President should not just sit in Abuja or in Asokoro or wherever he lives. Those are supposed to be local. They know them. They cannot be there and be here at the same time.
The life of the citizens, community need to be protected.
It's not work out.
Bring the message of peace. Where there be proper devolution of power from the center. The center is too powerful.
It's time to do the best. But people are hasty. Why are you hasting? Why are you hasting? Why are you hasting? Why let's say
The people giving voice to the voiceless.
Welcome. If you're just joining us on CoreTV Primetime News, here is a quick reminder of our top stories. We told you earlier that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared the Bayelsa governorship election as inconclusive, with the commission cancelling votes from Southern Ijaw local government area. The federal government says Nigerians should expect a budget size of 6 trillion naira for the 2016 fiscal year. The ancient city of Ile-Ife stood agog as Oni Adeyeye Ogunwusi Ojaja II received staff of office. You could get more on our social media platform. Visit us Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTV News, our Twitter handle @CoreTV News NG. You could get more on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV, little space and news. The ancient city of Ile-Ife stood agog for the presentation of His Imperial Majesty Oni Adeyeye Ogunwusi Ojaja II to the world in a program tagged the official presentation of staff of office led by the Vice President of Nigeria and other eminent personalities in and outside the country. The new monarch was admonished to take the responsibility of being the shining light of Yoruba race and to be the unifying factor which Ile-Ife is known for. Rashid has more from Ife.
Schools closed, markets closed, all roads lead to Enowa, the traditional abode of the face of Yoruba race, as new Onis presented the staff of office. The historic event, which had in attendance political bigwigs, first-class traditional rulers and eminent personalities, get its color with performance from different traditional groups paying homage to the new monarch. While people from all walks of life graced the event, the king's father, Robo Ogunwusi, and governor of Ogun State, Ibikunle Amosun, have this to say.
There is nobody who can find himself or herself in any position except it is according to the will of God. So I give glory, I return all the glory, all the thanksgiving, all the praise back to the Almighty God.
Pray that our new KBC will bring His reign, will bring peace, will bring development, will bring harmony. All of us in Yoruba land, we are happy today.
The Vice President of Nigeria, Yemi Osinbajo, and the head of the country's traditional rulers, Emir Abubakar Sa'ad III, made their marks and their advice for the new monarch.
We are reminded of the weightier matter of the great responsibilities that are to be thrust upon His Royal Majesty, the new Oni today. We offer our total support to the government of the day, and inshallah, we will also offer our support to our brother, the new and 51st Oni of Ife.
And finally, the moment.
To the glory of God and continued peace, progress, prosperity and happiness of Ife and the state of Osun. Thank you.
The 51st Oni of Ife made unity of the entire Yoruba race one of his top agenda.
Gradually, the Yoruba kingdom is coming together. One more time, once again. That is one of the biggest achievements for me.
The unification of the entire Yoruba race, among other issues, awaits this revered king with his installation as the 51st Ooni of Ile-Ife. Rashid, CoreTV News, Ile-Ife.
The police authorities have announced the appointment of a Deputy Force Public Relations Officer. He is CSP Shogbeba West. CSP West holds a diploma in security strategies and was the personal assistant to the then CP of the Enugu State Command. He has also headed the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, Enugu, aside from working in Taraba State Command. A police statement indicates that the new Deputy Force PRO had served in the United Nations peacekeeping missions in Kosovo and East Timor. His experience in policing has also seen him through in Nasarawa, Rivers and Kogi commands. The airport in Taraba is now open for commercial flights 10 years after it was commissioned. Governor Darius Ishaku says it is in fulfillment of his electoral campaign. Bring you details of that report later. Graduate of the Federal University of Owerri has urged the school management to provide more basic amenities to improve the future performance of students. This call was made at the 28th convocation ceremony of over 1,000 graduates of the institution. Also, the federal government says it will soon allow the refineries to operate as semi-autonomous entities in order to run as profitable ventures. It also expressed its readiness to raise funds from international investors and the private sector in 2016 to fund the joint venture cash calls between the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and international oil companies operating in the country. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources and Group Managing Director NNPC, Ibe Kachiko, disclosed this during an interactive session with Nigerians living in Vienna, Austria. He noted that in the years ahead, the NNPC's over 55,000 kilometers of pipelines across the country will be privatized in order to enhance efficient management of the infrastructure and to bring to the barest minimum the high incidence of pipeline vandalism. Kachiko says that a Clean Nigeria After Oil initiative will be introduced in 2016. Meanwhile, Environmental Rights Action and Friends of the Earth Nigeria has demanded that the Nigerian government institute a criminal probe of Philip Morris International for illicit import of cigarettes into Nigeria in breach of Nigeria's Tobacco Control Act 2015. The British Broadcasting Corporation Panorama revealed a shameful bribery scam perpetrated by British American Tobacco in East Africa. PMI had been discovered to have got approval through the back door to import 122 million units of cigarettes into Nigeria from Senegal. Investigation uncovered that Philip Morris International officially registered a subsidiary in Nigeria called Pimtel Nigeria Limited on December 11, 2014, and by May 2015 got the Standards Organization of Nigeria certificate for 5 PMI brands: Marlboro Gold, Marlboro, Chesterfield Blue, Chesterfield Mint Bust, and Bond Street Blue.
We undertook a close scrutiny of Philip Morris International recent entry, and of course they entered Nigeria quietly, and our findings are shocking and very disturbing. Number one is that Philip Morris has clearly flouted the National Tobacco Control Act by flooding our country with unlicensed, suspiciously tax not paid cigarettes. Through this illicit import, Philip Morris Limited will assault our public health with one. We see the entire speed because everything happened between December when they got registered and September. We see the entire speed of this transaction, as extremely suspicious and indicative of the fact that some government officials they have been compromised to ensure that not only those products are quickly registered, but to undermine the National Tobacco Control Act.
Nigerian markets, and we find out that what they have done did not comply with the current status that we have. They did not. The importation was done in contravention of the National Tobacco Control Act, and the entire process itself is extremely suspicious because of the speed. They got registered in December, and by September they are already importing 120 million cigarettes into Nigeria. We want the federal government to probe, to look into this. We want the federal government itself to prosecute Philip Morris for importing cigarettes into Nigeria illegally, because those cigarettes, they didn't conform with the National Tobacco Control Act, which says every importer must secure the license and approval of the Federal Ministry of Health, which they don't have.
The Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, says the federal government is committed to the adoption and implementation of international public sector accounting standards in the country. She stated this in a message to a one-day workshop on making change happen in the public sector, jointly organized by the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, NANA, International Federation of Accountants, IFAC, and the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation in Lagos. The minister, who was represented by Omoni Fagbemi, says IPSAS would enable the government to reap the benefit of transparency, accountability, probity, and better decision-making. The International Air Transport Association, IATA, has predicted increase in global passenger traffic to over 7 billion in the next 20 years. Its Director General, Chief Executive Officer Tony Tyler, says 2034 is the largest passenger market would be China, the United States, India, the United Kingdom, while Indonesia will take the 5th place. Japan, he added, would be 6th, Brazil 7th, Spain, Germany and France 8th, 9th and 10th, while Italy lost out as one of the top 10. The 5 fastest markets for additional passengers over the next 20 years will be China with 758 million new customers, the United States at 523 million, India is to have 275 million, while the 4th and 5th are Indonesia and Brazil with 132 million and 104 million. Tyler says the demand for air transport continues to grow, with much work to be done to prepare for the 7 billion passengers expected to take the skies in 2034. We take another break, and when we come back, we'll bring you stories from outside Nigeria and more.
Whenever you recharge your Airtel line, you could win a trip to Dubai for yourself and your family members or closest pals. Win one of 60 trips for 4 to Dubai in the Airtel Red Hot promo. Now that's a trip to Dubai for 240 people. You could also be one of 60 instant millionaires. Win smartphones and airtime. Everyone's a winner in the Airtel Red Hot promo with Emirates Holidays.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
On the foreign scene, the Syrian government has said 3 of its soldiers have been killed in a U.S.-led coalition airstrike, But the coalition is denied responsibility. The Foreign Ministry said the jets fired missiles at an army camp in Deir al-Zor province, which is largely controlled by the Islamic State group. The ministry condemned what it called an act of flagrant aggression. However, a coalition spokesman insisted that its forces had carried out no strikes in the area near the camp. The coalition has been targeting Islamic State, IS militants in Syria since September 2014 and does not coordinate with authorities in Damascus. The U.S. must not let ISIL's cut of that divide the nation, and American Muslims need to be enlisted in the effort to eradicate the group instead of being pushed away with aid, President Barack Obama said. Obama linked last week's deadly shooting rampage in California to the influence of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant ISIL group. The president warned that turning against America's Muslim communities would be exactly what Islamist extremists in the so-called Islamic State group want. However, the FBI continues to investigate whether the San Bernardino shooting was carried out by ISIL followers, which left 14 people dead. Former U.S. President Jimmy Carter told church parishioners in his native state of Georgia that he is free of cancer. The 91-year-old Nobel Peace Laureate and global humanitarian recently had a tumor removed from his liver, only to find 4 melanoma spots on his brain. A friend and parishioner of the Carters said the former president made the announcement towards the beginning of the Sunday school class in Leeds. Last month, the Carter Center said the 39th U.S. president was responding well to treatment and there was no evidence of new growth. Carter outraged many Israelis with his 2006 book, Palestine, Peace, Not Appetite. He has also repeatedly reached out to Gaza's Hamas leaders who are shunned by much of the West. Schools in Beijing are to close and outdoor construction to stop after the Chinese capital issued its first red alert over smog levels. The red alert is the highest possible and has not been used in the city before, report says. Authorities expect more than 3 consecutive days of severe smog. The air pollution monitor operated by the U.S. Embassy in Beijing reported that the intensity of the poisonous tiny particles of PM2.5 was 10 times above the recommended limit. Days earlier, Beijing had issued an orange alert, the second highest of the 4-tier system. Coal-powered industries and heating systems, as well as dust from construction sites, all contribute to the smog, which has been exacerbated by humidity and a lack of wind. The transgender actress who inspired Lou Reed's work on the wild side and appeared in Andy Warhol's 70s film Trash and Women in Revolt has died of cancer at age 69. Reed's opening lyrics read, "Holly came from Miami, Fla hitchhiked her way across the USA, plucked her eyebrows on the way, shaved her legs, and then he was a she." In his hit, the news of her death was disclosed by a friend, Mariella Order, in Los Angeles. A reward package proposed by the Sports Ministry for Nigeria's team to the recent FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile has been rejected by the country's government as too outrageous. The government of President Muhammadu Buhari says the country's coffers are hugely depleted and as such it cannot afford the necessary expenditure. The Golden Eaglet received such cash gift as well as national honors when they clinched a record 4th World Cup 2 years ago in Abu Dhabi. But the team who retained this championship in November may not be that lucky. It was earlier reported that the team would be feted by President Muhammad Buhari on November 29 at the Aso Rock Presidential Villa, but that did not come to pass. And finally in sport, West Ham coach Slaven Bilic has revealed that Victor Moses could face 6 weeks out with a hamstring injury after the goalless draw with Manchester United. Moses hobbled off in the first half of their stalemate as the Hammers avoided defeat at another of the Premier League heavyweights following wins at Arsenal, Manchester City and Liverpool. The winger joins an ever-growing injury list with Dimitri Payet and Valencia, De Vrij, Shaho and Manuel Lanzini all facing spells on the sidelines. And just before we go tonight, here is a quick reminder of our top stories. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared the Bayelsa governorship election as inconclusive, with the commission cancelling votes from Southern Ijaw local government area. The federal government says that Nigerians should expect a budget size of 6 trillion naira for the 2016 fiscal year. And finally, the ancient city of Ile-Ife stood agog as Ooni Adeyeye Ogunwusi Ojaja II receives staff of office. And thank you so very much for joining us tonight. My name is Omotayo Alo. Have a lovely night rest.